Coming to you from beyond the grave. It's the Little Podcast of Horrors with James, Christina, and Chris.
I love it when you call me Big Papa. Throw your hands in the air if you've ever been a player.
What?
Oh, wait, sorry. Is this thing on? Hey, guys, welcome to Little Podcast of Horrors. I bet you were wondering, like, what did I just walk into?
It's Father's Day.
It's Father's Day. Well,
when we're recording this.
I say when we're recording this, it's Father's Day. So,
Happy Big Papa's Day.
You heard it. It's recorded. He called me Big Papa.
I did not. I said Big Papa's Day.
Close enough.
I am
late.
acknowledging Big Papas everywhere, far and wide.
Please, if you feel that he just acknowledged me as Big Papa, let us know. littlepodcasthorrors@gmail.com.
He totally acknowledged.
He totally acknowledged it. It's okay.
You're saved as Big Papa Chris in his phone.
I am. If I knew how to mess with his phone, I would change the ringtone to "I love it when you call me Big Papa." Just so he would and not tell him, and then just call him while we're out somewhere and just see the look on his face like, what did you do?
The lesson here, folks, is always secure your phone with a tight passcode.
He does. This has been my best friend for 26 years. I don't know his passcode. I might be able to break in, but probably not. So, because my best friend had to be like cybersecurity and all of that, and fucking annoying as hell. So that goes all my fun. Well, kids, what are we drinking today? Oh, by the way, if you don't know by now, I'm Chris.
I'm James.
I'm Christina.
Yeah.
Together,
we're the Little Podcast of Horrors, baby. Buckle up. It's going to get weird. Yeah, if you don't know who we are, after 71 episodes, 71, that's how many we've done.
Wait, what? For real? We've done 71 episodes?
We've done 71 episodes since we started this journey.
And we're still not famous? We must suck at this.
We're great at this. I think a lot of people, they just be like, I don't want to hit the follow button. I'll just Google you and listen to you. You know, there's several podcasters that I listen to religiously, but I'm not like a follower. I just pull them up and listen to them every week because I'm lazy. So
my mom says I'm famous.
Does she?
Are you using a Ouija board? Because if you are,
oh my God.
Because if you are, find out if my dad thinks I'm famous too. You know, I will say,
debunk my claims.
You know what? I like to think, though, wherever they are proud of us because they do think we're famous. So yeah. So what's everybody drinking today?
I rebelled and I just had a Earl Grey tea.
An Earl Grey?
Leave me alone. Earl Grey.
Are we hunting rabbits today?
I'm not hunting rabbits.
Okay.
Or rabbits. Whatever.
A burn fest. We're bullying James today.
Right?
I'm drinking beer. Flyway Blue Wing in our lovely Little Podcast of Horrors tumbler, wine tumbler cup. Not a beer cup, but whatever.
Which you can get your very own on our shop at www.littlepodcastofhorrors.com.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for Father's Day, I got incredibly lucky. So James knows this because I texted him. I'm a big whiskey person. And a lot of people out there, if you're a whiskey person, you may understand this. There's a brand called Blanton's. They're a big distillery. They're very hard to get because they do that on purpose. Case in point, I've tried to find a bottle of Blanton's for years. I have been in several drawings. I have gone to special events. Never had it. Never even held the bottle in my hand. And I've tried for years. So Friday comes, and it's Friday morning, and I had dropped my son off at his school, and I was stopping at Starbucks for my daily coffee and was just chilling. And I look onto Facebook and I follow this local liquor shop that was literally 5 minutes away. And they had posted that for Father's Day, they had all of these very hard to get whiskeys, and they're right there in the center was Blanton's. And so yours truly raced over there thinking it's going to be gone. It's going to be gone. Because, like, I've missed it by 10 minutes before. Like,
Whoa.
I remember the last time they did this, where it was, they had just put it out on the shelf and said, one per person, first come, first served. And I got there and they said, yeah, it was gone in 10 minutes, all of them.
Wow.
So, yeah. But today, or rather on this day, your boy walked in and there it was. And I said, I will take that bottle of Blanton's. And, and the guy was like, there you go. And I got giddy. I was all like, oh my God. And the guy laughed. He's like, you've been trying to get this a while, haven't you? And I'm like, yes, I have.
The
So,
Father's Day gods were shining their light upon you today.
yes. And after I spent $80. Yeah. I immediately called up my wife and I was like, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. And she's like, what did you do? And I told her everything. And she's just real quiet. And she's like, you know who you're sharing that with first.
He said, yes, James.
I did. That's exactly what
Are
I
you-
did.
Oh
Are you trying to die?
And now
Like
he's
a dipshit.
Are you
Oh.
trying to die?
Well, I sat there, was like, don't worry, I'm going to share it with the guys, like Brian, my brother-in-law, my friend Jeremy, and James. Silence. And I realized, oh God.
She's like, hello.
She meant her. And you, of course. She's like, better. And I'm like, I'm sorry. But I mean, I'm going to share it with a lot of people. So, like, I'm drinking this the way James drinks all his whiskeys. Because normally my problem is, like, my whiskey, a bottle, I'll buy a bottle of whiskey and it's gone within a few days. Not this one. Nope. I've been like just little pours.
Yeah, take care of it.
Yeah. So today, though, I made an old fashioned with it. You can't see it, but it's there. There you go.
Oh, I like that glass.
Oh yeah. So I made an old fashioned. I've been sipping it.
I
So-
also had a rare whiskey find recently. So like a couple of weeks ago, I found a good old Johnny Walker Blue Label. And as you know, it's very freaking expensive.
It's
But
like
now-
$250 a bottle.
Right. But now they come in different sizes. And there was a teeny tiny one for $20. And I was like,
Nuh-uh.
No. I was like, it is literally just enough for like a little sip and one cocktail. I was like, you know what? I'll pay $20 for one really good cocktail. Why not? And like the salesman there actually tried to talk me out of it, funnily enough. I guess he wasn't a Johnny Walker fan, but he was like, if I had $20, I wouldn't spend on that. You could get like a couple of wines with that much. And I was like, so which I reply is like, dude, look, it's just a $20 mistake. I can live with that.
Oh, yeah.
So I made my $20 mistake and I had my one overpriced cocktail and I was happy.
I remember that you all pitched in and got me for my 40th birthday. All of them pitched in and got me a full bottle of Johnny Walker Blue Label. And I'm not a big Scotch person. James is. James likes Scotch. Christina, I don't know if you like Scotch at all.
Yeah, I do.
I'm
I like
not.
my drinks literally on fire.
Guess I'm not a huge. I have drank a lot of Johnny Walker. I've tried black. I've tried red. They're fine. I can't stand double black. James loves double black. I can't stand it.
Double black is my favorite, second only to blue.
But blue tasted like butter.
Smoky.
It's like a smoke, yeah, like a smoky. It had a buttery taste. That was the best Scotch I've ever drank in my life. So
So thank you for coming to
I was about to say that.
Scotch
So
today.
yeah, so thanks for coming to Scotch Talk and Whiskey Talk. Y'all have fun. What? You thought we were going to talk about?
They are spirits.
Yeah. Okay.
Christina's done with this shit. She's like, let's
Yeah.
move on.
I'm multitasking now. I'm like putting these Polaroids into an album.
We bored her so badly, she is scrapbooking.
No, I just have lots of things that I have to do every day, all day. It never ends. That is my life.
I
Just
feel you.
menial tasks until I die.
No, until this podcast takes off and this is our full career.
I'll still have a shit ton of menial tasks to do.
I mean, yeah, that's life. But then you at
I'm
least
tired.
then you get to tell everybody that what you do for a living is you do a horror podcast show.
That'd be
So
pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I've got the episode today, kids. You guys have been with us through a 4-part series on time travel that our friend James here hosted, but now it is time to move away from that. Although, funny enough, our story, my story, actually begins by once again traveling back to the 1980s.
Woohoo!
So, but of course, in true Chris fashion, I will be doing a story about the paranormal. Now, I did an episode a while back. We entitled it I Hear Dead People, where we talked about the phenomenon of EVP. Well, today's episode, we're going to be talking about I See Dead People, but more specifically about children.
Ooh, okay, spooky.
Yes. Now, to begin with, I'd like to discuss a man by the name of Lloyd Auerbach. I hope I said that right. He is actually a renowned parapsychologist and author. And like I said, we're going to be going back to the 1980s, but I actually had the privilege of meeting Lloyd 20 something years ago. He came to the University of Central Arkansas to speak on his experiences as a parapsychologist. And I happened to be lucky enough to be sitting in the audience and got to listen to him speak.
So do people keep asking where was the other psychologist?
I don't know, maybe
Because you know,
a pair of psychologists.
parapsychologist.
It's a
Just
pair.
him.
Parasite or para, as in paranormal. So, we've mentioned the term many times. Now,
I came
Lloyd,
here for a parapsychologist. I want half my money back.
I know, right? It was free, so Uh, Lloyd is and as I said, he's a very renowned parapsychologist. I mean, he's been on podcasts. He's been on several episodes of like Unsolved Mysteries, various other paranormal shows. Every once in a while, I would see him pop up on some shows watching. I was like, hey, I know that guy. But what's neat about this is he told us a story while he was there. And this is going to be the first part of the episode that I talk about. As I said, children. Now, I need to take you back to the 1980s, back when Lloyd, he's sitting in his office when he receives an unusual phone call. The caller, Jean, who was an attorney living in Livermore, California. Now, Livermore is just about 40 minutes from where Lloyd was working at the university. I want to say the John F. Kennedy University in Pleasant Hills, California. But Jean calls, and she had just moved there with her family, which consisted of her husband, her mother, and her young son, Alan. Now, Jean explained that she'd bought the house at estate. What that means is the previous owner had passed away from natural causes and had no children, no real relatives to inherit anything. And so, and as soon as they had actually moved in, Jean said that they could already feel like this warm, welcoming presence in the house. And of course, it wasn't too long before Jean first saw what appeared to be the apparition of an elderly woman walking through the halls. Now, the neat thing about this is that when Jean saw it, she did what most of us would have done. She just kind of froze up, like, what am I seeing? And what's interesting is that she said this specter turned and waved at her. But of course, Jean, in shock of what she's seeing, she doesn't do anything. And then the ghost kind of just disappeared. Now, unbeknownst to Jean, her husband and her mother also saw the same ghost, also froze up, and when the ghost apparently also tried to wave to them, they didn't wave back. They were just freaked out, like,
Rude.
well, I mean, if you wave back, if we go to some location and you see a ghost and it waves at you and you wave back, I'm going to be proud of you.
Yes, I'm gonna wave back before I take off running and screaming because
Okay.
I'm polite.
And there will be a James-shaped hole in the wall.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
but
he
by golly,
waves.
I will have waved back.
Just turns into a Looney Tune cartoon.
Which, by the way, this kind of brings up something that concerns me sometimes. An old lady ghost, right?
Mhm.
Like, I really, if I were to wind it up, being a ghost haunting somewhere, I would not want it to die and then wake up as a ghost and look down and be like, oh crap, I'm 75. Like, I want 20-something me to be the ghost.
Hold on to that.
I don't want to be old forever.
Hold on to that. Okay. I'm glad you said that. So, unbeknownst to Jean, or the dad, her husband, or Jean's mother, none of them were telling each other what they saw. I guess maybe because they didn't want to freak each other out. I don't know, whatever the reasons are. One day, though, young Alan comes walking into the room and just begins to give the entire history on these dolls that were there, because they bought it at a estate, and so many of the things in the house belonged to the previous resident. Like, whenever you buy things at auction, yeah,
bunch of porcelain dolls kind of thing.
Yes. And but the thing is, he started telling his mother where they were bought, when they were bought. He started asking questions about the house. He started talking about other things that belonged to the previous resident. He knew these things that he shouldn't have known. And when Jean asked her son, "How do you know all of this?" his reply was simple. "Lois told me." Who's Lois? Oh, Lois is the woman that you and Dad and Grandma have all seen, but none of you have said anything to each other.
Called out.
And she's really upset that you never wave back.
Well, because here's the thing. When Alan saw the apparition of the old woman who waved at him, Alan waved back.
What did I tell you?
He's 12 at the time. And so he just didn't think anything of it. So he just waved back at her. And from here, it only, I guess, grew a bond between them. I don't know. But
yeah, when you're nice to people, you get to grow a bond with them. That's how friendship works.
I mean, I guess. So they became friends. And so it didn't stop there, though. Alan knew about things that had gone on in the house's past, parties, gatherings. He even could describe what the previous owner looked like because he's looking at her. He talked about the activities that went on when she was alive, when she would garden outside, which actually was confirmed by the neighbors who remembered her. They were like, yeah, she'd come outside, she'd garden, she'd do all these things. Alan even knew about other families that had lived in the houses of the neighborhood in the past. Jean would even eventually corroborate all of this by talking with the neighbors and checking in the local records. So the boy's having a friendship with a ghost.
So this is why it's so important to have your priorities in the correct order. Wave, then run, so that the ghost impression of you is like, oh, what a sweet little coward. And then, looking favorably upon you, they won't be mad.
I guess. The thing is, this isn't just any ghost. This is the ghost of the woman who is the previous owner, and she had died in 1980. And this is starting.
Not just any ghost. Way to be elitist, Chris.
Well, I'm just saying, it's not some random ghost that was floating around. It's the ghost of the lady who owned the house. I'm just clarifying.
Yeah, like she's tied. She's connected with the property. She's not a rando.
Yeah. And she had died in 1980, and this is 1984, 1985 when this is taking place. Okay. So, Alan had actually been talking with Lois for the better part of a year. Before he even came forward and actually revealed any of this. So of course Jean is concerned. her son's talking to a ghost. I mean, what parent wouldn't be worried? Jean had even revealed that due to this concern, she had Alan see a counselor, a psychotherapist, because it's not that she thought Alan was delusional. They had seen her too. They know there's a ghost in the house because every one of them has seen her. But she's kind of concerned about the fact that her young, impressionable son is talking to a ghost. She kind of wants to make sure this doesn't have a negative impact on his growth. So,
Okay.
So I want to know how you explain that nuance to the therapist. It's like therapist, so doctor, I'm bringing my kid in because I just want to tend to their mental health. You know, they've been talking to and seeing and having this friendship with a ghost. But I mean, here's the thing: the ghost's real, okay? So I
We've
mean,
all
it's not
seen
that
it.
he's making it up. So just
Well-
keep that in mind, Mr. Therapist.
Lloyd, she asks Lloyd, can you come down and look into this? And Lloyd said, well, I'd like to talk with the therapist, the counselor first. So he actually arranged a lunch with the counselor at a pizza restaurant, and they talked. And he was actually very happy to find that the counselor, while he wasn't like a believer, he was open-minded.
Mhm.
And he was very open-minded to the fact that he would say they believe they're seeing a ghost. Like, and he was very open-minded to the concept, even if he wasn't just an outright believer himself. And the other conclusion that he had come to talking with Alan was that Alan was actually a very well-adjusted young man.
So there was a ghost of a chance you'd believe him.
I know, right? And I mean, totally, just a ghost of a chance. So after this, Lloyd decides he's going to head down to Livermore and check it out and meet with Alan and the family. But Lloyd doesn't go alone. With him, he brought Kip and Lloyd's wife at the time, Joanna. Kip was a student at the university, and I guess he worked with Lloyd doing things, and Joanna was his wife at the time.
So they
And,
were parapsychologists.
well, only Lloyd was the parapsychologist. He actually has a master's. He has a master's in parapsychology. Now, it's a 45-minute drive from where they were.
Hold up. Wait, back up.
Okay.
How do you get a master's in parapsychology?
Through the way you get a master's in anything.
Are there accredited?
I was seriously just over here Googling how to become a parapsychologist. I'm not even joking.
Was two actually.
I was like,
And
this is my
found-
calling, I think.
I found an online parapsychology degree.
That's hilarious. Is it accredited?
I doubt it.
So Lloyd was on the core faculty of the graduate parapsychology program at John F. Kennedy University. So John F. Kennedy University actually had a graduate parapsychology program, and that is where he received his master's degree in parapsychology. And he was part of the faculty. He served as public information and media consultant to the American Society for Psychical Research. He worked as a consultant on psychic matters and conducting investigations into paranormal occurrences. So, yeah, he actually he went to Northwestern University, where he graduated from there in 1978 with a degree in cultural anthropology. And then he earned his master's degree of parapsychology from the former John F. Kennedy University. It's now known as the National University of California. So,
Oh, okay. That's why it's NU. Got
yes.
it. Because I was just continuing to Google while you're talking. I'm like, I'm about to start a degree program.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it is a full accredited program. So where they're coming from, which I couldn't get it conclusively, but I believe they were at JFK University, now the University of California. It's about a 45-minute drive to Livermore. Livermore, it's actually a very kind of old town. It's a wine country. And there's a lot of old estates there, like a lot of old houses. I looked a little bit at them online. It looks like a nice area. Not an area that sadly we could probably move to. It's a little bit more up there as far as
Out of our pay grade, huh?
out of our pay grade. So, but still a really nice area. Now,
That's why there aren't any random ghosts there.
I know, only specific.
It's
Now-
a gated ghost community.
Now, it's interesting to note, it's a 45-minute drive. So while they're driving down, they do what anybody does. They do what you and what we do. They chit chat, they talk. They just talk.
Yes.
Also
Oh.
that. they talk about just regular things going on in their life. Kip had actually mentioned during the car ride that he used to be a professional dancer for many years, in fact. And yeah, and then Joanna was talking about like how dissatisfied she was with her current job. And she just really, and she was kind of just basically talking about what she was really looking for as far as her new job. And Lloyd remembered that he was talking about the fact that his car had been giving him trouble, that he needed to get a new vehicle. Just it's normal chit chat stuff, but remember that. So
Okay.
the three arrived and met the family. Now, during the investigation, they determined a few things. All members of the family had encounters with Lois, though Alan, she visited daily. Or she would visit Alan daily. And now the interesting about that is that she never visited him in inconvenient times, as she called it. Like he'd be sitting in the living room watching TV and she'd just come in.
This
And-
entire episode is a lesson in politeness.
Yeah. Basically
You
what it
polite
meant was
ghost.
basically what it meant was there was none of this waking up in the middle of the night and she's at the foot of the bed going like, oh, you know.
And you know why? Because he waved back.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, that's a really great way for a friendship to end. I
Give me
love I love both of you with all my heart, but if I wake up and you're at the foot of my bed, shit's going down. It's
I'm
not
just
going to be
like
fun.
pulling the covers off you.
Yeah, be like, what the hell? So,
Now you're giving me ideas.
God
Trying to
dang
grab
it,
your
I knew
ankles
I
and pull
would.
you off the bed.
You know what? I sleep naked, dude. So just FYI. Not really, actually. That's I can't stand the thought of sleep. I need pajamas. So during the investigation, it became apparent that Lois was present because as they're talking to him, they notice Alan was also listening to somebody else. And of course, Lloyd talks about this. I forgot to mention one of my sources is actually a book I own. It's actually from Reader's Digest. It's called Ghosts and Hauntings. In the very beginning is the story. Also, I was there when he told the story too. So I'm also the citation.
Listeners, good luck Googling that book since it has the most generic title ever.
I know. Well, actually, so if you want to find it, it's called Ghosts and Hauntings. And then you want to make sure you just type Reader's Digest. You'll find it. It's like one of the first things that pops up. And the cover of it's like a candle and a pocket watch. And I mean, it's really generic. So as I was saying, it was obvious that Lois was there. And Lloyd finally asked, he's like, is Lois here? And of course, the first time Alan did not say yes or no, he just smiled, if I remember correctly. And so Alan just kind of left it at that. And they toured the grounds, walked around the houses and talked for a little bit. And they got more information. Alan relayed information about Lois. They were able to determine that Lois was a wealthy socialite and she died of natural causes in 1980. She actually lived in the house all her life. Jean was actually able to eventually locate Lois's only living relative. So it turns out she did have a living relative. Lois, being a lawyer, she has had to hire a private investigator from time to time for certain cases she worked on. So she decided to do that. And she was actually able to locate this gentleman who was a cousin who actually confirmed many of the personal stories and information that Alan had learned from Lois. So
It's kind of a pity that she can't continue her career post-mortem like Lois, ghost lawyer.
Lois wasn't the lawyer. Jean was.
I'm paying attention.
Thanks
Oh
a
no,
lot.
I think you did say Lois though.
Lois, being a lawyer, she has had to hire a private investigator from time to time.
Lois, being a lawyer,
I'm not crazy.
Jean was the lawyer. Jean being a lawyer.
Okay.
Sorry, my apologies.
Thanks for shattering my ghost lawyer pitch.
No, I said Lois was a socialite. She's not going to be partaking in all that nonsense.
So she was the old Paris Hilton.
I guess. Now, going back to something you said earlier, well, about how she would appear as an old lady.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't just appear as an old lady. So many a times they also saw Lois as a 6-year-old girl. as a 12-year-old girl, and as a 20-something-year-old woman.
Oh, so it's optional.
Lois explained through Alan that this was due to how she felt on that particular day.
The day I feel 6.
Well, like her age, unlike her age, her clothes could also change. And according to Lois, this is all due to the fact that spirits are without form or substance, basically just uncontained consciousness. So, yeah, you look how you think. And in case of
As long as you don't get confused and your body and clothes don't mismatch, because you don't want to show up as like, a 60-something-year-old with a 6-year-old's clothes, because that's just going to get awkward.
I probably would. I'd be like, damn it, I screwed up again. Now this is a moment I'd like to do an exercise with you and anybody listening. As long as you're not driving a car, you can partake in this exercise too.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
If you do it while driving your car, you may become a ghost yourself.
So yeah, you may. And in which case, we'd love to interview you. No, we're not responsible.
Visit James first.
Visit James first. Wave at him.
I'm gonna wave on my way out. Okay.
Wave on his way out. No, please, by all means, do not do this exercise while you are operating a vehicle at all, because it involves closing your eyes. So, if you will, for a moment, close your eyes, and I want you to imagine an outfit, something that you would just love to be wearing. Do you see it in your head? Like, get it in your head real quick, just to picture it. The outfit that you would love to be wearing, just whether it's something you would love to be wearing at a dinner or a date or just out and about.
Okay.
Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, answer honestly. James is smiling and answer honestly. What kind of shoes were you wearing?
I knew that's where this was going. No shoes.
Most of the time when people see ghosts and specters, the one thing that doesn't seem to appear are their feet.
So I imagined a stormtrooper outfit.
I knew it. God.
You include,
Full
shoes.
boot.
Well, actually, they don't include shoes. They include they cover your shoes, if I remember correctly. But anyway, yes. It's like something I want to. So in my defense, he said something I want to wear. I currently have a kit to build a movie accurate stormtrooper outfit. It's like on my back burner to do later. So it's like I've been looking forward to doing that project. It's like, yeah, I do want to wear my movie accurate stormtrooper outfit.
Why stormtrooper?
Why not?
Because it's awesome.
It's funny. I mean, imagine, if you will, a ghost appearing in a stormtrooper outfit.
Oh, that would be cool.
Complete with the inner helmet radio talk.
I think it's kind of neat. We did a previous episode where I talked about the ghost of George Reeves, who played Superman, and the reports say that they've seen him in the Superman costume. That's as close as I've gotten to that kind of craziness as far as a ghost being seen in a costume.
I think I would be less freaked out if the ghost was in the form of the stormtrooper, because for one thing, they wouldn't be able to hit me.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true.
So a medium told me that a spirit showed up for me that was not human, but it showed itself as one of those old those Mickey Mouse popsicles they used to sell in ice cream trucks.
Yes.
What?
It appeared as a popsicle?
She was like, I don't know why it's showing up like this, but it looks like one of those Mickey Mouse popsicle things.
Hey there!
Crazy.
Eat me! Eat me now! That got weird.
The spirit world gets crazy.
Now I'm really interested in what
flavor was it?
Actually, I think
I
there's
don't
only
know.
one flavor. I had that back in the day. I had that. So
You get possessed if you eat it?
what?
What?
You get possessed if you eat it?
Maybe. Maybe that's what it wanted. It wanted to be
But is
inside
it delicious enough to be worth it?
Yeah, those things were amazing. I miss them. So getting back on track. Anyway. So at this point, once again, Lloyd asks Alan, is Lois here? And finally he said yes. And he points to this empty chair. And he was like, she's right there. So right now, there's potentially ghosts sitting right there. But nobody can see her but Alan. And when Lloyd asks about this, it's kind of because that she says that she feels at ease with Alan, And she also believes that Alan may be more psychic than other people.
Yeah, makes
So,
sense.
so after, and of course, he asks her an array of questions, one of which is, why is she in the house? And she explains through Alan translating that,
Are you in your house?
well, because she lived a full life. She enjoyed her life. She had no regrets, but she wasn't much of a churchgoer. She didn't do any of that. And she said that when she was dying, she was kind of afraid of, like, where would she go? Like, will I go to heaven? Will I go to hell? You know, like what's going to happen to me? And it kind of, I guess she said it freaked her out. So she just started thinking about going to her house because that's where she felt safe. And as soon as she died, she found herself back in the house.
Oh.
So, yeah. She also explained that spirit communication occurs through telepathy, communication, and also seeing a spirit. So that whenever you see a ghost, according to Lois, that is the ghost projecting their image directly into your mind, which is why you're able to see it, which would account for instances and stories of people who were together and one person saw the ghost and another person didn't see anything.
Right.
And also why people sometimes will say they can hear, like they'll hear a voice or whatever, and the other person didn't hear anything. So after all of this, Lloyd asked if Lois had any questions for them. She did. Her first question was to Kip. How long have you been a professional dancer? She also wanted to know why Joanna was unhappy with her job and when she was going to start looking for another one. And then finally, she asked Lloyd about the car he was considering getting. What kind would it be? What color? And what exactly was wrong with the car he currently had? It would seem there were 4 passengers in that car because immediately Lloyd was like, we didn't mention anything we talked about in that car. And yet they knew.
Those can
Yeah.
ride in cars. Cool.
Well, according to Alan, talking to Lois, turns out that Lois had seen a commercial for Ghostbusters and got worried that they might bust her.
Oh, poor Lois.
So she decided to go up to the university and ride down with them.
See what they're like.
And see what they're like.
That is so sweet, Lois.
And Lloyd talked about it even when we were actually seeing him speak, that he stayed in touch with the family. But of course, as Alan got older and older, he saw Lois less and less. And Lois apparently joked with him that this was because he was discovering real girls.
No.
But that occasionally she still showed up and even gave him advice now and then.
Oh, that's sweet.
Now, of course, I would imagine by now, Alan is probably older than us. If he was 12 in like 1984, so he's older than us now.
I wonder how relevant that advice was, given the generation gaps.
Alan, if you're listening to this episode and you would love to be on Little Podcast of Horrors, we would love to talk to you. You can email us at littlepodcasthorrors@gmail.com and we can set something up and have you on the show.
I just want to imagine her giving like old-timey courtship advice.
I mean, I don't know. But the thing is, this is what really drove it home for Lloyd, that he knew this, that he knew of conversations Alan wasn't present for. How would he know any of that went on? Unless he was either A, psychic, or B, there was a ghost there that he could talk to. And Lloyd talked about it in the book a bit, that all of the parameters fit more with there's a ghost and he's talking to them. So, but this is just one child, and this is just one story of a child seeing a ghost. There are many more that have occurred. Our next case actually takes us to Georgia, and we're still in the 80s. This time we're a little further ahead. This is 1988, and this is the case of Heidi Wyrick. Now, Heidi's case is a bit more well-known. They've actually made a movie about it called A Haunting in Georgia. Her story has been on Unsolved Mysteries. There's wikis about her, podcasts. I mean, you name it. It's a very well-known case. As it goes, in 1988, Heidi and her family moved into a new home, as I said, located in Georgia. Now, Heidi was 4 at the time and she began to have what her parents thought was an imaginary friend. But as it would turn out,
She wasn't imaginary?
it wasn't imaginary. How about that? She called this friend Mr. Gordy. Now, it's important to note that this Mr. Gordy, according to Heidi, was always kind and attentive to her. He would talk with her. He would push her on the swing. It was a good spirit. You know, it was a good.
Yeah, I bet she waved back.
I bet she did. But the thing is, she's also 4. She doesn't know what ghosts are. Like, she's too little.
4-year-olds always wave back.
I know. Sometime later, though, another person or being enters the story. One day, she comes to her mother telling her that a man named Khan is at the door who had white hair, had blood on his shirt. His hand
Wait. His name was Khan.
I know.
He had white hair.
I know.
What?
Get it out of your system.
What?
He's thinking Wrath of Khan. That's what he's doing. The whole time I started writing this part, I was like, I'm wondering if James is going to just go Khan.
I just want to believe it's Ricardo Montalban.
I know. White hair. I thought it too. Of course I did. In fact, while I was writing this in my head, it's like opening the door, like, hello there. Rich Corinthian leather.
When he's taunting Kirk and is, about failing to kill him, he's no, it wasn't that. Oh, well, he's going like still alive.
Ah, you're still alive, my old friend. Still old friend. Yeah. So as I was saying, so one day she comes to her mother telling her that a man named Khan is at the door, and he had white hair, had blood on his shirt, his hand wrapped in a bandage, and he wants to play with Heidi.
His hand wrapped in a bandage, like Khan from Wrath of Khan did.
I wonder if he was quoting Shakespeare when he opened the door, just be like, I spit my last breath at thee. I like Barbies. So immediately the mom, Lisa, thinks what any of us would think. Holy shit, somebody's trying to kidnap my kid. Or it's Carlo Montalban, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Hey there, LPH fans. This is Chris. Chris from the future. This is me as I am editing this episode, and I discovered James and I, we are not true Star Trek fans. And we'd like to apologize to all the Trekkers out there who might be listening to this episode, because apparently we forgot his name is Ricardo Montalban. I take full responsibility for this. Please don't hate us. Just remember, to err is human, to forgive is divine. And now, back to the episode.
To be honest, I wonder if there is a part of me, if my son ran up to me like, a man named Khan's at the door, I might be like, is it Ricardo Montalban? But this freaks Lisa out, the mom. She calls her husband Andrew. He comes back from work. They search the area. They don't find anybody matching this description. And so they hope that, maybe it's just an overactive imagination. They're trying to calm themselves, trying to comfort themselves. The mother started to wonder if Khan and Mr. Gordy were the same person. So she began to ask around if anyone knew a Khan Gordy, but no success. However, sometime later, Heidi's aunt, Lisa's sister, actually ended up purchasing the house next door. And when looking at the papers on the former owner's house, there they saw the name James S. Gordy.
Oh, okay.
This immediately frightened the shit out of Heidi's mom.
Little did they know, his friends called him Khan.
Yeah, that's it. That's totally it. No.
James Khan Gordy.
James Khan Gordy. Be kind of a cool captain's name. It's Captain James Khan Gordy. No. But this freaked out Lisa, Heidi's mother, because she knew Mr. Gordy to be dead. He had actually died in 1974. Furthermore, Heidi's description of Mr. Gordy was later corroborated by someone who had actually known him in life. Sometime after this, Heidi was given several photographs. So I posted it in our Discord. Sometime later, Heidi was given several photographs with Mr. Gordy's photo added into the mix.
It looks like a
and
church elder.
she was
Yeah.
able to point him out. This is Mr. Gordy, and we'll have this picture on our socials so that when you are listening to the episode, you can follow along and check out the pictures. So yeah, so she successfully pointed out as I said, I keep saying successfully Mr. Gordy in the array of photographs. On a separate occasion, she was also able to identify the mysterious Khan that she had met. As it turns out, his name was Lon, and he lost his hand in a cotton gin accident in his 20s. Lon had been dead since 1957. I have also just shared a picture of him on our Discord, and this will also be on our socials. So go check it out as you're listening to the episode. So this is a man who died in 1957, and yet Heidi met him at her door in 1988, 31 years after cancer took his life. Now, with all of these stories so far, the children have had mostly positive experiences with these ghosts. You've got Alan with Lois, who's just like a sweet old lady who's his friend. And now you have Heidi talking to Mr. Gordy and Con or Lon. I mean, kind of randomly showing up at her doorstep, being all bloody and be like, hey, you want to play? But unfortunately for Heidi, these encounters did not stay benevolent. While Mr. Gordy and Lon seemed to be good spirits, another one started to make its appearance a few years after her first meeting with the two older gentlemen. All she knew of this figure is that it was known as a dark figure. It began appearing to Heidi, and it always frightened her. Gordy and Con never scared her, but she was seeing this figure in her bedroom, in the hallway, always hooded, never could see its face. And what's worse is that soon this was followed by scratch marks appearing on Heidi.
So this jerk just had to come and crash the happy ghost party.
Exactly. This figure's a dick and starts attacking this poor kid. Now, her father, Andrew, I guess, like any father, kind of hoped that maybe she just scratched herself in her sleep. Maybe that's all it was. Until he woke up one evening to find 3 claw marks on his side. He woke up and he just, as he said, he felt his side on fire. And upon inspection, there are 3 distinct claw marks on his side. This continued for 3 consecutive nights. The next night, he woke up, the same 3 scratches, this time down his back. The night after that, he wakes up, down his chest. Night after that, 3 marks down his other side. Like,
No touching.
I know, no
So this
touching.
ghost's just an asshole.
Yeah. Now, it's important to note Heidi is now a grown woman, because like I said, this is the 80s, and she says she still sees the dark figure as well as other spirits, though she has not seen Mr. Gordy or Con in years. She talked about the fact that she started seeing Mr. Gordy less and less and less, and started seeing the dark figure more and more until eventually she just didn't see Mr. Gordy anymore. So
the dark figure just ran him off.
I don't know.
Or like dick figure.
Dick figure. I know. But once again, now here's another story where a young girl or young child is meeting people and having knowledge that she shouldn't have about people who lived in the area, and it all being confirmed. And even more importantly,
wait. So the previous story just ends with, and this jerk ghost showed up and started scratching everyone. The end.
Yeah, basically.
It still follows her, it sounds like. She's got a spirit attachment.
It didn't go away. Like, the thing about these kind of stories, there's no conclusion to it. This is something many of them just live with now. If these children, I guess, were born with the gift to see what we can't see. But what's interesting is that it seems to develop in childhood. These are children, but it's not always something that stays, as I have discovered. Case in point with my own kids. I've mentioned it in previous episodes. But my mother, her name was Donna. She passed away when I was 19 years old. So she never met my children. My first son would be born 10 years after she died. So I never thought much of it until one day I came home. I had been out, my wife was at work, and I'd had my sister uh, watching my firstborn, my eldest. And when I came home, she was troubled. She was bothered by something. When I asked her about what happened, she said that when she had laid my son down for his nap, she went downstairs to watch TV or hang out, and we had a baby monitor set up, and she could hear a woman singing to him. And I need to note too that before any of this, that actually the very first thing she asked me was, would you know your mother's voice if you heard it? And immediately I said, yeah, I would know. I'd still know I would still now know my mother's voice. And so anyway, she had drawn the conclusion that she thought it was my mother visiting Charlie. But upon inspection, as soon as she ran upstairs and opened the door, there's Charlie with his arms already out, because that's what he would do if an adult was in the room, because he wanted out of this crib. So she laid him back down, went back downstairs, and waited. Sure enough, she can hear this woman again. Now, I don't know if she couldn't quite tell what the woman was saying. But once again, Courtney darted back upstairs, and there's Charlie standing up again by the crib, by the rail with his arms out, like he saw somebody and wanted them to pick him up. So she lays him down for a second time, goes outside, but this time she listens at the door, and she can hear the voice in the room with my son. And she kind of just opens the door, and he's clearly looking at someone, but she doesn't see anybody. He's once again back to standing with his arms open, wanting someone that she can't see to pick him up. Jump to 2 years later, randomly, out of nowhere, we are over at my grandmother's house, and little 2-year-old Charlie comes walking out and just starts asking, where's Donna? That was my mother's name. I had mentioned her. I hadn't said a thing about her, but he came out asking, where's Donna?
Oh.
Then you cut to my second son. One day, just randomly, he's in his car seat. I think he's like 1 or 2. He starts saying, bye, Donna. Bye, Donna. Second child, randomly mentioning my mother's name, and he's saying bye to her, like she's leaving. My third child, Henry, while he never mentioned her by name, there were several occasions where I would notice he'd be looking at somebody that I didn't see, smiling at somebody I didn't see, and once or twice laughing or giggling at somebody that I didn't see. And so I started to think, is he seeing my mother? Is she there? And so that has left me perplexed for years, wondering about children and their gift to be able to see something that we cannot. Are they open? More open than we are? Is their minds more open? What is it about children that gives them the ability to see things like this, to have these kinds of experiences? And the best thing that the conclusion I can come to is that they have not been tainted with doubt.
Mm-hmm.
They have not been filled, they don't think of it as silly or ridiculous. They are completely open to any kind of possibility. That as we become as adults, we think of it as ridiculous. We question things, or cynical, whatever. But
we're taught to not trust ourselves.
Yeah, we don't trust ourselves.
When they're really little, they still trust themselves. Like, why wouldn't they? They saw it. It's like it's just there.
Even people now who might see a ghost or phantom question their very sanity. What am I seeing? Is what I'm seeing real? Is this really happening? But it doesn't even end there. And it, like I said, it doesn't always seem to be something to where the child grows up continually seeing ghosts, just kids in general.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I'm always questioning my sanity. But
that's true. That's also because I drove you insane in high school. But like some short stories, just real quick ones.
Now that you're sharing this, I can only think that I hope the ghost of your mother hasn't heard all of my various and sundry your mom jokes, because the last thing I need is to be haunted by your mom.
Well,
Honey,
I mean,
auntie.
from what I remember of my mother, she would have found it funny.
Good, because I don't want to be haunted by your mom.
Nah, no. If she were gonna haunt anybody, she'd haunt me, and I can't see her. Although I imagine that someday when our lives come to an end and we cross over to the Rainbow Bridge or whatever, she'd probably walk up to you and she'd be like, "I feel like we know each other quite well, James. You've mentioned to me many times." And I'd be like, "Burn." Yeah. A couple of quick short stories I want to share with you guys too. There is Hospice Julie. You can actually check her out on TikTok. She talks a lot about just great experiences she's had. And I'd actually love to have her on the show at some point in the future. She actually got an email from a listener who it's told her that when she was pregnant with her child, at the same time, hundreds of miles away, her mother was dying of cancer. Now, sadly, this woman who was pregnant, she could not go see her mother because due to her pregnancy, she was on bed rest. But her sister was taking care of the mom. One day, the sister was talking with the mom, and the mother had been immobile and wasn't talking. And she just trying to keep conversation, I guess. You know, you still communicate with them. Asked her, "What are you up to, Mom?" And the mom surprisingly answered, "Oh, just sitting on the stairs." The sister thought this was odd and actually shared it with the mom to be. Now, the mother died.
She's like, we have all this furniture and you're sitting on the stairs? Really?
Well, she's laying in bed. Like she's
immobile.
immobile. She's talking about sitting on the stairs. The mother actually ended up dying just hours before the woman had her baby. Jump about a few years ahead when the child was 4. The woman told her daughter how much her grandmother would have loved her and how much she wished the two could have met. "We did meet," the little girl said. "No, honey, she died before you could meet her." "I so did meet her. I met her when I was coming down the stairs and she was going up. We sat together on the stairs for a while."
Okay, you're gonna make me cry, bro.
Yeah, this one I really love. Another story about a young boy who was present at the hospital when their elderly grandparent was in the process of dying. The child was kind of, as what happens, kind of pushed off to the side a little bit while the adults are saying their goodbyes. It's sad, but it happens, you know. The child, nobody else, said suddenly several people began to come into the room all at once, and they saw their grandparents sit up and embrace them all, and then left with them. This all happened the moment the grandparent died. Child literally saw these people coming into the room and saw his grandparents sit up and greeted them all, and then he left with them. I don't know what happens when our heart stops, but I know what I hope for, and I know what these stories do, and they give me hope that when it ends, it doesn't really end. That we just move on to the next phase. We go on to the next adventure. We go on to something else. And whatever it is, when we die, we find each other again. But it's important to note that these children, you can try as best as you can to excuse or explain away, but you can't entirely. These children who know things they shouldn't know, who have witnessed things that make no sense and have no explanation. And so that's kind of where I want to leave it. As far as this story goes, is that the next time that your child may say that they have an imaginary friend or that they've seen somebody, maybe take a moment and listen to what they're saying, because they might be seeing more than you realize. And it shouldn't be discarded as just a momentary childhood imagination. So,
you know what else can't be explained away? Your mom. See, it's relevant.
that's why we can't have nice things.
Thank you for listening to Little Podcast of Horrors. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, and share. Got a true tale of the unexplained? Send us an email at littlepodcasthorrors@gmail.com or visit our website at littlepodcastofhorrors.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, join our Patreon. For $2 a month, you get access to our private Discord server where we chat, game, and you'll get access to episode extras. Don't want to commit to a monthly subscription? Make a one-time donation through Spotify or buy us a coffee. All donations keep the lights on for the show and help us fund future on-location visits to haunted places. Links are in the episode description. Want to learn witchy stuff? Take a course with Bearbridge Academy. You can also hire a witch or psychic at the Otso Salon. Be sure to use code LittlePodcast for 20% off Bearbridge courses and Otso services. Thanks for listening, my loves. Bye.